guys, Artsy Paints here, and I just want to show you another tutorial, a craft idea for springtime that's really fun and easy, and it's these spring wreaths. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make this wreath in the tutorial. It's really cute ideas that you can give them as gifts or hang them up anywhere in your house or on your front door, and they just make a really cute addition to some springtime decorations. To get started, you're going to need some colorful felt, a hot glue gun, pinking shears, fabric scissors, yarn, a foam wreath, ribbon, paint, and any other decorative items that you'd like, such as my wooden bird. First, you're going to be taking your paint that you choose, and right now I just have some turquoise paint and I wanted to make it a little lighter, so I mixed some white paint in with it. And I'm going to be just taking the paint and painting over my wooden bird. Right here I'm also painting the sides of the birds just so none of the wood will show through, even on the sides. Now I'm going to be trying to make the first flower that will go in my wreath. And first you just want to find a round object, and I'm just using a CD right here and tracing around it. Each circle will make one flower, and you're just going to want to cut out each circle, and I tend to try and cut out in the inside of the marker ring that you made, that way you don't get that line on your flower. Now that you have your circle cut out, you're going to be cutting into the circle and trying to make a spiral pattern. So as you can see, I'm going to be going around the circle pretty consistently in width and just keep continuing until I get to the middle of the circle. Now we're going to be taking our spiral and we're going to be starting at the end, and we're just going to be winding it right back up and folding it over and over and over again. When you get to the end of your flower, you're going to want to secure it with a little bit of hot glue so it stays in place. This is what your finished flower should look like. Second flower, so you want to take a piece of felt and fold that in half, and next I'm going to be putting another round object on my felt and tracing it. This is compressed air, and you can find something similar in the same size with canvas spray paint or some hairspray. And we're going to be making 6 circles on our felt, which will actually end up being 12 since they're doubled when we cut this. I'm going to be using some pinking shears because I want the edge of this flower to be a little bit more decorative than a normal pair of scissors. Okay, and now we're going to be taking each individual circle and folding it in half, and then folding that in half again, and using a little bit of hot glue and then gluing the two sides together. Taking my circle, folding it in half, then folding it in half again, and gluing those two sides together. And we're going to be doing this 4 times, so we'll have 4 wedges. Now we're going to be taking one of the circles we cut out, using that as our base, and gluing all 4 of our wedges onto the circle. going to be making 2 more wedges in addition to the 4 wedges, using the same process as before, folding it twice and then gluing it. Except for I'm going to be cutting off the tip of this wedge so that it has a flat surface so we can glue it to the top of the other wedges. Once again, I'm cutting off the tip so I have a flat edge, and then I'm going to be adding a generous amount of hot glue and gluing it to the top of the wedges. This is what your finished product should look like for your second flower. Now you just want to take your wreath and you're going to be starting to cover the wreath in yarn. I'm gluing the tip of the yarn to the inside of the wreath where it really won't be seen. And then we're going to be wrapping the yarn through the hole and around the wreath to cover all of the foam up. And the trick with this, I wanted to make sure I bought some yarn that was pretty thick in size. The thinner the yarn that you have, the longer it will take you to cover your wreath entirely. And I found that it is much faster if you have a thicker yarn. So I'm just going to be covering all of the wreaths so you don't have any of the foam poking through at all. When you get to the end and you're completely finished, you're going to be opening a little section of the yarn, putting some hot glue, and then gluing the end of your yarn through so that it'll be hidden and you really won't see it at all. This is what your wreath should look like with the finished yarn. And now we're just going to add all the decorations onto the wreath. So I'm going to be taking my wooden bird that I've painted, and I'm just going to be gluing it on the yarn. And then next we're going to want to take our flowers, and I'm just going to be grabbing a random color and style of flower, and I'm just going to be arranging them in a pattern that I think looks nice. And now to finish off our wreath, I'm just taking some lace and tying it at the top of the wreath so it has a nice handle so it can hang. And this is what my 2 finished wreaths look like. I did a 16-inch and a 12-inch wreath.